Great, thank you. Are these the steps to
Yeah.
All right, so staff have just entered the room for item 5, so we will now come back to item 5, which is the presentation on the event sustainability framework. If we can please invite staff to the table. Great, so welcome to our meeting this morning. Good to have you with us. So this is an update on the event sustainability framework and the event compostable packaging trial. We've set just 10 minutes aside this morning for this presentation. We've got quite a full agenda today, but it'll be great to hear from you in that 10 minutes. So over to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Presentation. Oh, there we go. I've worked within the team since 2009, and although I love delivering a diverse calendar of events to the people of Christchurch, I was becoming increasingly concerned and disheartened by the environmental impact that our events were having on the city. So I took these concerns to my management, and I got backing to look towards building a sustainability framework where we would look at producing more sustainable events. We engaged an Auckland company called Green Shirt Pacific to help us with this, and after an audit they came up with a few areas we could look at to improve our practices, namely waste management, transport, so how we get people to our events, food and beverage options, our procurement process, and things like that. So with that we then needed to decide how we'd move forward, and we thought that waste management was a really visible area of our events that we could make change, and we chose this to look at first. So we knew from our events that the main area that we produce waste was from food vendors. So we thought we'd start here, and we knew that to reduce our landfill we needed to make changes here. So we looked at a few options, from whether we go to reusable food packaging options, whether we look to try and reduce our contamination rate in our recycling. But in the end it was the resource here on our doorstep, the Living Earth compost facility that, as you know, processes our organic curbside waste, that prompted us to look at a compostable food packaging option. And so this is what we did. Now at this stage I was due to go on maternity leave for a year, so this is where Shanti Campbell stepped in, and it was her job to make the whole project come to life.
All right, thank you, Kat. As Kat has said, my name is Shanti, and I've now been working in the council for just 14 months. So I was faced with this huge task of bringing this idea to life, and one of the biggest problems we had is there's this thing called bioplastic, PLA. I'm not sure if anyone in the room is aware of it. It's basically made from corn, and it was developed to replace plastic. Now the problem with PLA is it can't go into our organic composting facilities, and as Christchurch uses Living Earth to process our organics waste, it couldn't go in there. So you might get a coffee cup and you think you're doing a good thing by putting it into the recycling or into the green bin, but you're actually contaminating the loads. This actually needs to go to landfill. So it's a huge problem we have at the moment. So we were set out with the task, if they can take the pizza boxes, they can take cardboard, right? So we needed to find a supplier in New Zealand who had plain packaging, which was cardboard only. We managed to find a supplier, and we developed this logo here, Event Compostable Only, to go on the outside of them. So we set up the supply chain. We had a range of distributors within the city that supplied to our vendors for the events. And this is where Trial 1.0 was born. So Trial 1.0 was 3 events. It was Sparks, Christchurch Lantern Festival, and Fairfax Media Run Night Noodle Markets. Now that was approximately 190,000 attendees. Now I just want to point out that's just under half the population of Christchurch. All of the food vendors at these events had to use the compostable food packaging that we had suggested, and we had waste sorters on site which hand sorted each single piece of waste that came through. So just on the bottom there you can see a picture of the waste sorters at 1 a.m. in the morning hand sorting the waste, and on the right there I just want to point out that's one of the compost loads at Living Earth. Now that load would have gone to landfill had we not done this project. This was a collaborative effort and project. We had to work with many other council teams to make this happen, work with our local organic processing facility, which is Living Earth, as we had pointed out, our product suppliers and our many distributors within the city, over 100 local food vendors, local social enterprises, and our on-site volunteers like this group here who stood in front of the bins throughout the whole event directing the public where they should be putting the product into the green bin. So just a bit of the results. Now many of these other details are in the booklet that we've handed out to you. So 61% of the total waste from these 3 events were diverted to recycling or compost. That's over 12 tonnes that we diverted away from landfill. And just a bit of a breakdown in the middle there, that's 42% of that total waste was compost. We also analysed the public's thoughts, the attendees, and what they thought of the initiative. 88% of the attendees at these events said it was important for them to see sustainability initiatives at our events here in Christchurch. And 93% of these people had noticed a sustainability initiative at this event. And one really important, exciting fact there was 33% of those who answered this survey said as a result of seeing what the council had done, they would now recycle and compost more at home. Now that's an intention for behavioural change, which is something that we all want to achieve. We also engaged with the stakeholders and got their feedback on the project, and it was really exciting to see that 100% of the stakeholders involved thought it was either very important or quite important for sustainability initiatives to be at events, and 97% said it was important to them personally and to their business to be involved with this sort of stuff. There's more information again about the statistics in the booklet that we've handed you. I just also want to touch on the amazing media coverage that we've had about this project, from Facebook posts to different organisations sharing it, getting in contact, pressure put on the Auckland City Council to follow our lead. Also, we've had 2 articles in some magazines as well, so it's been really successful from our point of view. Now, this has brought us to a point where we need to take this to the next level. So we've now started planning Trial 2.0. So this is where we move from 3 events in Trial 1.0 to 30 events in Trial 2.0, medium to large events over an 18-month period starting this September in 2017. And this involves not only our internal events that we produce here in council, but also the external events in the city from event organisers who are already sustainably driven and want to be part of this. Just to let you know how we're tracking at the moment, we're engaging with these external event organisers, we're confirming our product range and suppliers, we're trying to expand our range and expand our suppliers to bring the cost down for the vendors and make this more affordable and easier for everybody involved. We're investigating potential composting facilities that may be able to take this bioplastic that I was talking about earlier, and we're testing sample products for their compostability and investigating funding options to reduce this cost for everybody.
So as you can see, me and Shanti and our team are really passionate about this project, and I just wanted to kind of point out how well it sits within the City Council's strategic framework, especially looking at livable cities and healthy environments. It also ticks the boxes in regards to the strategic priorities of being climate change leaders and building a sustainable 21st century. But where I really got excited was when I came across the resource efficiency and greenhouse gas emission policy that's recently been signed, which it clearly clearly states that the council will pledge to reduce its solid waste sent to landfill. So I think that you'll all agree that this project really needs your support and it ticks all the boxes.
So I just wanted to leave you with one thought. I went, did anybody here go to the Jane Goodall, an evening with Jane Goodall last week? Anyone in the room? Okay, so she said something that really resonated with me. She said, we must remember that we have not inherited this planet from our parents. We have borrowed it from our children. But we have not been borrowing their future. We have stolen it, and we keep stealing it. And I just want to point out that every single person in this room is here to make a difference. You came to work today to make a difference. And now is your chance that we can make that difference. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Now we would have time for probably a couple of questions. So Pauline and then Vicky.
Thank you. Good work. My question is, though, if we increase the amount of containers going out to the living earth, what is the capacity for that out there? Are we running out of capacity? I mean, look at the size of the pile that you sent out there.
So for them, that pile wasn't actually a huge amount for them. They do handle a lot more than that. When I said we're looking at other potential facilities, that's if we open the range up. But in discussions with Living Earth, to carry out these next lot of events wouldn't be an issue for them. They said that should be fine in comparison to the rest of the waste that comes from or from the Christchurch region, the curbside collection.
But there is an option to look at other facilities within Christchurch that can take compost as well.
I see. And when you talk about landfill, we talk about Cape Valley. Do they emit a lot of emissions? Because I thought that they actually converted to methane, all their emissions.
Yeah, so with these bioplastics, they have a lot of pre-life benefits. So they reduce 60 to 80% less carbon fuel emissions, and they're from renewable resources. But unfortunately, if they go to landfill and they don't compost properly, they do emit methane. So in Christchurch, I mean, the methane we collected and we have a solution for that. But we're trying to come up for a solution that we can go across the whole country with. Other councils can take it on board and use this as well. And not all councils in New Zealand have that facility.
No, but my point is, if I made it that the PLAs and those going to our Cape Valley are not causing emissions because we're capturing it.
Yeah, but I guess there's also the fact that from a landfill point of view, it's taking up land, and there's other kind of negative ons.
Yeah, and it limits the length of the landfill as well in the space.
Great, thank you. And then just a quick question from Vicky.
Mine's really quick. Thank you for a lovely presentation. It's lovely to see such amazing enthusiasm in action. The only question I've got is, what else would you like to do?
So the framework looks at the broader area. My dream would be to make events the most sustainable in New Zealand, if not the world. So we're kind of quite resource tight at the moment, but once we can get the waste management area sorted, we want to look at how do we get people to our events more sustainably, getting on public transport, getting on bikes. How do we power our sites more efficiently, whether we use wind, sun, whatever. I would love to look at every area, and that's what the framework kind of overlooks at, and it looks at those areas. So, hopefully we can keep on with this momentum.
Yes, you can. There is now an Innovation and Sustainability Fund, and so we're very happy to talk to you.
Yes, we've got ideas for compostable toilets and everything.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Look, thanks for taking the time to come and present to us this morning. Really interesting stuff, really exciting. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.